You don't have to be a millennial to be socially savvy. We believe anyone can join Generation Social Media, and your journey starts now. This is the Generation Social Media Podcast by Chatterkick.
So a little bit about me. I was able to speak to a group downstairs, so there's a couple repeats in the group, but I started Chatterkick 7 years ago and had really no desire to start a business, but I was working at the Chamber of Commerce, and I was working with businesses, and I would go to the businesses and ask them, like, how can the Chamber help you, right? And for a few of you, I think in the Chamber world, people kept asking me, well, like, what does the Chamber do for me? And the only thing I knew how at the time was to say, well, I can help you. Like, let me show you the value that I can provide to you just on behalf of the Chamber. And so they're like, okay, well, I have questions on social media. I don't know how to use it in my business. I'm trying to recruit employees and don't want to spend money. I need to get, the word out about my business, and I'm just stuck. And so I just would kind of plug and play the solutions I had learned. I previously worked at a nonprofit, the American Red Cross, and said, well, you could do this and try this, and just really kind of made it a part of what I was doing at the Chamber. And then a friend came up to me one day and said, hey, do you want to be a commercial real estate agent? And I was like, not really, but I have this idea. Like, I think it's a thing. It's obviously a thing on the coast. And 7 years ago, social media was very still much not used in businesses. It was kind of that thing that people were like, is Facebook a thing, right? They really didn't believe that it was going to be sustainable. And so I decided to start a business. Started small with just myself, but really went all in. I thought it'd be cold calling day one, and we ended up landing a large franchise. It was really myself and the guy that asked me to be a commercial real estate agent became my partner. And so we landed a franchise like day 6 and just kind of scaled up from there. We have 22 employees, 4 different offices, 2 main branches, one in Sioux City and one in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We work with clients all over the country, and we really focus on the relationships that social media can form. And it's funny because coming from a chamber world and not from an agency track, a lot of people that start agencies, have been in an agency. But I really saw the connections that were made person to person around coffee, around cocktails, and the business deals that were done on these handshakes. And so that's really the lens that we look at social media through of how can we use human connection to help grow businesses, to help retain employees, to help drive customer relationships deeper. All of these things we use social media for, but just to kind of set everybody like in the same area, these are just tools. I would never stand up here in front of it and tell you that this is the magical pill, right? And I think anybody that says that is not looking at all the different elements that are out there. Social media is amazing, and it can really transform and grow businesses, but it's just the tool to do it. It's what you put behind it, the strategies, the plans, the work, the stories, all of that is what really is the fuel behind social media. So I have Molly here with me. Molly works as an insight strategist at Chatterkick. And another quick note is I have a passion for women-led businesses and women-owned businesses. I didn't realize starting a business, I didn't realize starting a business in the agency category, how dominated it was by men. And so it really kind of opened my eyes to just being able to help other people out. And so I do have another podcast. We have a Generation Social Media is our Chatterkick podcast, but I also have a podcast called Technically Iowa, where we interview Iowa women throughout the state and just kind of hear their stories and learn a little bit more about technology in the space with women leaders. So it's kind of cool. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about strategies on social media. What should you be doing and why? It's really what strategy lends itself to. And then what really is awesome is if you can get the point where data and research drives what you are doing on these channels, that's where you've really won, because we can all have preconceived notions about the platforms, who's on them, how are they using them. I want to reach the young people. I want to reach the old people. But the reality is these barriers are broken every single day. So one thing that we do on the podcast, and this is so fun if you're just like sitting around with your friends, have everybody pull out their phones. Android has the same functionality, and look at your screen time report. And do it with your kids, with like young kids, like, you know, the tweens, teens. Do it with people in all generations, and sit around and look at your screen time report and your battery report. It is fascinating to see that it's not usually what you think. Because the people that say that they're not on Facebook, their screen time report will show that they're on Facebook. Or maybe they think that they check Instagram every once in a while, but it's taking up, you know, a huge percent of what they're spending their time on. But they just don't realize it, because a lot of us, especially younger people, it's so much part of what they do that they don't even realize how many times they're opening the apps. So really, really interesting thing to look at. I also love when you go to concerts. This is another like barrier that is broken on social media. People think that old people don't use Snapchat, and I say old people, and I'm just putting in air quotes, and young people don't use Facebook. Like, I hear this all day, every day. And there is some truth to these generations using the platforms differently. I 100% agree, and that's what the data says. However, like, don't write these off, because they still are working for different generations. So the best thing ever is to go to a concert, like maybe it skews a little bit older, a demographic, and you stand back and you watch the screens of people that are filming the concert. You can easily tell which ones are Snapchat, who's live streaming. I went to a football game today. This guy next to me literally was live the entire time on Facebook. And it was just a ball game. He was talking to the camera. It was really, really interesting. But people are using these devices and platforms in so many different ways that the only truth is that there is so many different options that when you look at what platforms and how should I use the platforms, I think it's really important to take a step back and say, let's just clear the table. Let's just not assume anything. Let's not only focus on Instagram because we're trying to reach this demographic. Let's just think about, first of all, what do we want to accomplish, right? So if you go to the next slide, here's what people want from social media. This was a really good report. I'm like standing in the way of these screens, or if I stand in the middle, can you tell? So this is a report published this year by Sprout Social. They're a social media software, but they had a really good sample size, and the report was run well. So it really lets customers rank which channels give brands the best opportunity to connect with customers, not to sell to customers, different channel strategy. But if you're trying to connect, which connection comes before sales, even in product-based businesses, people still want to know where their potato chips are made, who's making them, what kind of ingredients are going into them, where are you sourcing the ingredients? They want the stories behind all sorts of brands. And so social media provides that storytelling, whether it's a validation and after the fact, or if it's in that research phase where they want to know. Like, if I'm running a boutique, tell me why this shirt is 2 times more than what I pay on Amazon. There's probably a legit reason for that. Like, it's higher quality. The seams are like this. All of the things you just have to tell people about. Otherwise, you don't get a chance to even get the opportunity to sell. So connection first. Interesting though, social media, TV, radio ads, email, direct mail, and social ads. So again, this is kind of an interesting mix. One of the things that I would note is some of these things, like a lot of people say direct mail is dead. We don't do a lot of direct mail campaigns. We don't do any other, we partner with people, but there is a space for a lot of these in your marketing mix. It's what you say and how you offer it that really makes a difference. And people want that personalized experience, right? If you send me a card with a gift in it, I got this, and was such a great example of really customizable marketing. So they sent me like a cup that said the future is female. They did their research. They stalked my social accounts. They knew what I was about. It's a cheap little coffee mug, nothing that cost them much. A note in there, and they sent it to the office. It was a completely cold lead from some software company. And they could have sent it to every female on their list, right? It wasn't that individualized. But just the fact that they made a memory, they made someone feel special, even if it wasn't, I didn't buy the software, but somehow like there's that connection there. And that's how I would start thinking about your direct mail strategies. That's how I would think about your gifting. Like do the things that create memories and that are memorable. Otherwise, you're just spraying and praying a lot of cash on some of these campaigns, regardless of what the medium you put it on. Okay, so I hope you can see this. So social media behaviors that help brands connect with consumers. And this could be B2B or B2C. Again, we're people to people right now. That's what we're talking about. So first, like or respond to a customer. Biggest ROI possible in social media is respond. Respond to reviews, positive and negative. Respond to direct messages, comments, tweets, LinkedIn connections. All of those things are the best opportunity for you, and it doesn't take a lot of math to do the ROI, right? The phone's ringing, you pick it up. That's basically an equivalent on social. The second is really showcasing the brand's personality. This is the opportunity for you, a perfect way to show who you are as a brand. And if you are an owner of a business, or your owner is like quippy, sarcastic, funny, and you have a lot of that in your culture, and then you look very press release-like on social, that misalignment is just a missed opportunity. You want to carry out who you are to be a direct representation on social media. And again, this is going to help you recruit and retain your employees as well. I think we have probably a mix here of owners and some individuals that work within a company. But recruitment is a whole nother can of worms and opportunity, but really important when it comes to social. The third is supporting a cause that the consumer personally supports. Really interesting, and I've seen campaigns run really well where you kind of do a, if we get to this, or if this happens, or we can get so many people, friends tagged on this post, we will donate to a cause of your choice. Or, can you guess the name of this puppy, right? Or let's name him. People want that impact and input. And the funny thing about this is we've been literally doing these status-only posts, no pictures, nothing. One simple question, like, would you rather? Like, get a dog or get a cat? Or you could just say team dog, team cat, question mark. No pictures. They break the noise through the noise in social media, and they will work. No money behind them. Just try it. And people are like, well, I thought you were supposed to have all these pictures. Yeah, it is best practice and it works, but just that disruption of like, wait, it feels so much more real. We don't have any pictures on things. So just try it every once in a while. Also, if you're doing any remodels or doing anything where people feel like they can have a decision, even if you've already kind of made the decision, but letting them have like a say in it, like what do you like better, this or that? Love to give their opinions on that stuff. And it really creates high engagement. A couple other things, highlight industry or category trends. Think new. What's new within your business? Like new to everybody else. It doesn't have to be groundbreaking, but people want to know the newness. That's why if you look at like grocery store products, right? I'm the biggest sucker for new. You just put the new sign on it, and it could be the oldest thing in the world. I'm like, oh, it's brand new. Like, I got to try this out. And people want to be that person. They want to discover things on social media. And social media is a passive platform, right? Regardless of Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, we're not usually actively like, I'm in the mode of needing my oil change. I'm going to go search an oil change. We're just sitting back, looking through our feeds. So you have to match that mentality. And then don't forget about communities. This is something that social media started out as a community, right? We're connected around a group of topics. So if you are in real estate, then talk about what that means. Like if you went to a round table, how would you have those conversations? Don't make it all about you. Make it about them. Be obsessed with your customers. Be obsessed with your community. Listen, and then create content from that. It makes a huge difference. And then don't forget, invite user-generated content. Again, when you're talking about ROI, if you're the person in your head that always thinks this stuff is just child's play, this is how you save money. Other people creating your content saves you costs because it's extremely expensive internally to create content because that means you have to employ employees. And it saves you money from an external agency or someone else creating your content. If you can get users, your community, to create content about you as a brand, you are legit ahead on the money side of things. So 2 big things that can correspond to direct ROI, top and bottom here, answering the phone, the digital phone, and having other people create your content. Really strong things that small and large businesses can both take advantage of. Okay, a couple other things just to notice here. So what should you be talking about? I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. Like, I want to tell the story about what we do, like our products and services, but sometimes it feels like that's all we talk about. Or the other way around, like all we're talking about is like the office pet. We're not talking about the serious stuff that we do all day. How do you balance it out? So what's really interesting is a majority of people, 68% of people, like actually want the brands to talk about the products and services. But it's the way you talk about them that's important. Don't just sell, tell. You want to tell the story. It's the same thing if you were going to give me a tour of your building and you're going to show off the cool things that you are so excited about every single day. And it could be in any industry. Like, what would you say? What are the most frequently asked questions? What's it like to be your customer? All of those little bullet points, just start writing out, and that's where you can really leverage your content strategy. And then the customers or fans, people love attention. You don't have to give away gifts and all the things. You can just give them attention. That's the best and least expensive thing that your fans and people would look for. If you haven't leveraged that top fans badge, which some of it's not available on all pages, basically on Facebook, you can turn on this functionality that'll give the people that interact with you the most these little top fan. And what a great way to give the people that are your supporters a lot of attention for free. You're not paying anything for this. It's awesome. And they feel so special. Okay, this super important. Do we have people that are business owners or CEOs here? A couple of them? Okay. So 70% of people feel more connected if their CEOs are active on social media. Tell your CEOs this. If they are thinking that this is not worth it and all of this and they don't want to be on camera and they hate video and all that stuff, that's fine. But the data and statistics shows that people want to connect with the leaders of the organization. It could be a big business, it could be a small business. It's just really, they want to know who's leading the team. Also, 72% of people of social engagement is happening on local pages. I talked about this a little bit in the last session, but really big opportunity for all the local businesses because people care more about their communities than what they really care about in the bigger scheme of, you want to be connected to the Burger King that is in your town and not just the brand because that's the one you go to. That's the one you expect to be clean, you expect good service. Like that's what you really care about. And we have to remember all this stuff. We're so selfish as people. Like all we care about is really what's in it for me. And so if you, again, kind of think about that as you're putting out content, what are they going to get out of this? Would I click on this? If I just showed myself my own ads, would I care? Like sometimes we have to kind of step out of our box to really understand that. All right, so social media strategy. First of all, first step, let data and research drive the strategy. When we do full strategy sessions for businesses, the first thing that I want to do is I want to look at all their accounts. I want to look at their analytics. I want to look at their posts. I want to look at how much they're posting, who is posting, how much time is it taking their team. Lay that foundation. If you don't have to do it that complicated, just start with your Google Analytics. Is social media sending website traffic? Yes or no? That's one thing to look at. Another thing in your social media accounts, are you growing or are you dying? Like, are you losing fans and losing reach, or are you growing? Yes, the algorithm changes. Yes, there's that stuff that happens, but guess what? It doesn't make that much difference. There's still organic accounts, local businesses, that they're posting amazing content and they're getting reach, and they're selling their stuff. So if yours isn't, it's time to kind of reevaluate what you're trying to do and what you're doing. Here's 3 main buckets that we like to start out with. Don't If you're a small to medium-sized business, don't try to do all the things at once. It's just going to be too overwhelming. You're not going to have enough time, and it's probably not going to be as impactful as you would like. So 3 main ways that you can use social media. First is customer service. Here's the places where this all comes in at. So Facebook messages, Facebook reviews, Instagram DMs. I mean, there's a lot of them. But if that's your first strategy, is we are going to be super responsive across all of our communication channels. Email, telephone, all the social channels. Like, we say that we are the best in customer service. You better not forget this. Another statistic says that 80% of businesses say that that's the number one thing that distinguishes them from their competitor. We have the best customer service. Guess what? Of their customers, only 8% of those actually agree with that. Because as customers, we don't know what customer service means. We expect customer service, right? Like, it's the same thing as when you go to a restaurant. The good food should be the standard. Like, if you're going to a restaurant, you don't want to eat crappy food, right? So no one is going to give you reviews about the food unless it was extraordinary or really bad. And so that bar of customer service, good customer service, is already there. So in order to level that up a little bit and really excite people and delight them, you got to go above and beyond and give them an idea of what that means to us. Is when you call us, we call you back. If you message us on Facebook, we'll get back to you in 3 hours. Whatever it is. I just think that we need to start telling your clients and your customers, what does that mean to me? Storytelling, another really good strategy. Just pick one of these and start diving into it if that's what if you're really trying to nail this down. Storytelling locally is, it's probably the most straightforward, right? Behind the scenes, day in the life, best reasons to work at your company, top frequently asked questions. All of those things allow you to really showcase who you are and what's your purpose. The next, providing value and offers. So if you're ready and you're ready to sell, like, I got this stuff all down. I got customer service, we are rocking and rolling, local storytelling, I post content for my accounts regularly. Now I just want to sell. And that's okay. And it works on social in all industries. But you got to kind of go in the right order. Otherwise, you start a Facebook page and start pushing ads. It doesn't work. I've literally just reviewed an account yesterday, and they had no fan. They started a Facebook account. They wanted to sell, started a Facebook account, started pushing ads, spent $11,000 in 2 months, and they got a ton of traffic, great conversions, right? But guess what? Nobody actually stayed on as a customer because they didn't do the first 2 steps. So really, really important that brand matters. Okay, so we talked a little bit about reviews. 2 things to really note on this. So this stuff is expensive. Bad reviews are expensive. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have 1 million and all positive reviews. But when you look at reviews, make sure that it's a reflection of who you are. Like, if you just have 2 bad reviews because 2 angry customers, then you need to put effort into getting more. Like, the volume of reviews and positive reviews they are a currency these days. And you have a big opportunity on search. They make a huge impact with Google search. And people really pay attention to it. 89% of people actually care more about the owner's response than they do with the actual review. So make it human, use real language, have empathy, right? Like, tell people, that stinks you had to wait that long. That's not what we want for our customers. Give them a little bit of love and then try to make it right. Offline. Give them your phone number. Get a human on the phone. That half the time quiet people down. This is something we see all the time. 58% of executives believe online reputation management should be addressed, but nobody really does anything about it. I mean, I have a review presentation and give it to a lot of businesses, and everybody agrees that reviews are super important, but they become paralyzed. What does that mean? How should I make an impact on that? And it really is baking it into your process. It's making sure that you talk about reviews to your team. What does this mean? Hey, we got this review. Yes, this was a crazy, angry person, but is there any element of truth that we can take from this review to make a better customer experience? Because sometimes it doesn't matter what the facts are. It's just how someone feels. And that's what reviews are you got to balance that. Okay? Okay, so let's look at Facebook and Instagram strategy as well as posting. So I'm going to talk about these two platforms primarily. It's the ones that we get a lot of questions on. We were talking a little bit about the others. I'm going to touch on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is an amazing platform as well, so we'll talk about that. Twitter, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, they're all very unique platforms. Facebook and Instagram are kind of the workhorses right now, which is why I'm touching on those. The others, you have to have an individualized strategy, and they don't work for all different types of businesses. So that's why I focused on these two. Those other 3 or 4 awesome platforms, but not everybody is always a candidate, so I'm starting with the kind of foundations. Okay, so I hope you guys can read some of this stuff. This isn't as important. It just basically says content. So things we're going to talk about. Information, Facebook, okay? Everybody have a Facebook page share for their business? Okay, that's pretty standard right now across the board. People have Facebook pages. Their consistency maybe be a little bit off, but they're trying, they're posting. And it really is where a majority of the people are. Now, this election cycle is going to completely change Facebook. We know that. We're seeing already on the rules on our advertising. If you are using Facebook ads, be ready. Things are moving very, very quickly, especially if you are doing anything with community support. So all of that's transparent now, and it tells everybody how much you spend. It has your personal name on it. There's a lot of things happening in the Facebook ad world as it relates to local community, which they clump into politics. So just to preface that. So the things that Facebook is kind of the hub for: information, place where people go. Should you have an issue in your business, this is probably one of the first places they're going to go. Maybe Twitter, if you have a Twitter account. People like that because it's usually quick. But the biggest problem on Facebook is admin access that we see. Most people don't know who has access to their page. Rogue employees or old employees have access to all of these accounts. So check your access points on all of your social platforms. Who has the logins? It's the biggest PR crisis opportunity that you probably have exposure to, is just that. Someone accidentally didn't log out of your business account and into their personal account and got a little crazy on Saturday night, and now your business just did. It literally happens way more than you'd imagine. The customer service, community support, definitely big opportunities there. And then we typically recommend 3 to 5 times a week from a posting schedule. That's a generalization. You can post more, you can post less. Half of it has to do with if you're using advertising or what your content matter is. But in general, that's what I try to encourage most businesses to stick to. Foundational things. If you haven't looked at the back end of your Facebook page recently, I highly recommend it. This verification is something that you really want to get for your page. It's a verified page. There's a little gray check mark there. You can also use your name in the URL. Very important for search engines. They love that. And then one thing I don't actually have an arrow on, but you know that you can schedule posts in Facebook. If you don't have a social media scheduling tool, Facebook has its own built in. And one thing that we've had people do is if they kind of want to load up a content calendar, they just save them all as drafts, and then they can go in and schedule when it works for them to post. It saves a lot of time. A couple other things just to keep this in mind. So automated responses. This just says, hi, thanks for recommending us. We're glad you had a great experience. Those are in the messenger setting on Facebook. It's kind of a weird spot to find. And your pages may look different than mine. We see that a lot. And then if you do that, you get this response badge. 100% response rate, 2 hours response time. So great goal to set for your team, your employees. Just you want that quick response because that's going to help win you customers. A couple other things. So this is in the targeting Who's doing Facebook ads here? I could do like 4 sessions on this. We have a couple people running Facebook ads. Okay, so the beauty of Facebook ads, why they are such gold. First of all, they are not just ran on Facebook. They are ran in what we call the Facebook family of apps. So that's Facebook, Instagram, the Audience Network, which is an entirely giant ecosystem of other apps and sites that allow Facebook to place ads on their sites. And so when you're using Facebook ads, you're using the data that we as users submit to the platform. We tell Facebook everything about us, what we like, when's our birthday, how we're interacting with things. And so Facebook wants to get me as a user connected to the things I care about the most with ads. So they can be really effective. You can really target people on these as well. But one thing that I encourage you to do, don't just target people who like social media. Like if I was Chatterkick, I don't want to just target people who like social media because it's so many, right? But one thing I could target iPhone users because typically our clients tend to be iPhone users. I could target people who are admins of a Facebook page because they already get it. I could target people who like Entrepreneur Inc. magazine because they're typically a little digital savvy, right? So do you see how I'm thinking about the persona of a customer? Not just what they like that's obvious, right? So what's a couple businesses here? I can spitball audiences. Anybody want to give me their business? Yeah. Bridal, perfect. So there's a targeting mechanism here, recently engaged, right? That's one thing. But why not target people who are looking for life-changing events? So they just graduated college, or you could target people who are looking at bridal magazines. That's probably, in that same, and literally you can start typing in the names of the bridal magazine, the knot.com. You can, they maybe are in a certain age demographic, or maybe their behavior is telling you that, okay, if they're looking at engagement rings, there's a dress correlation going on there. So you just kind of want to think a little bit outside your normal, like people interested in wedding dresses. So some opportunities there. You can also take a list of your customers, upload those into social media, and target those. It's called custom audiences. There's no additional charge for that, and it is extremely effective. Okay, go ahead. A couple just other tips with Facebook specifically when you're looking at strategy, and this really amplifies your message. So we had somebody use our social media sign for a photo shoot, and so you can tag other businesses within your content so they get notifications. You can spread your message a little bit farther. Again, some of these are basic steps, but they do make a big difference that you don't have to invest additional ad dollars to. You can also tag employees if you're connected with them. That makes a really big difference just to, again, get that message out a little bit farther than just who liked your page. Or if you're doing it organically, you're just crossing your fingers and hoping the right people are seeing your content. Okay, so a couple other things when it comes to ads. What I want you to take away from this is ads are awesome. They do take a little bit of time, but the potential with this stuff is mind-blowing. Again, it doesn't really matter if you don't think 22-year-olds are on Facebook. You put in the parameters and Facebook just goes and finds those people. We just ran a campaign for teens, 17 to 19 for college visit day. And we used the Facebook family of apps, and we were like 100% sure it was going to be Instagram, right? We're like, it's going to be Instagram. Because again, we're in that same mind space. And we let Facebook just optimize per platform based on sign up. So these are kids registering for visit day. And Facebook newsfeed was the highest. Completely surprised me. Didn't even think that was where 15 to 17-year-olds, if you would have asked people, they would have said that was not the case. But that's what worked. So again, keep that in mind. Here's all the different check marks that you can have of where there's a place. Facebook Messenger is a really great place to be playing and advertising. And events. If you guys are doing events, event responses is a really great medium because you could use as little as a couple $100 and get effective reach and people to sign up and come to your events. Okay, a couple other things. So when you look at how much we should be posting, here is just 2 graphs of the difference between 2 times a week and 5 times a week. It's a content game right now. Your job as marketers, how can we create content at scale? How can I take this one video shoot that we're doing and break it into 25 different pieces of micro content? I need a tweet, I need a boomerang, I need 4 pieces of Instagram stories, I need 2 pieces of Facebook content. If you get that all planned out, it's an organization game really to win this. But if you can plan that out, that will save you so much money and really increase your effectiveness dramatically. All right, so content ideas. This is really, again, when you come to content, or when you look at strategy, you have your content strategy and your your platform strategy. It's typically how we break it out. Before I dive into this, do we have any questions? I know this is a lot of information. I've done this as like a 4-hour workshop, so I'm trying to make sure that you guys are getting the information that will give you some takeaways. But I know we have different levels of
Yeah. When you have the automated response to the 100%, if you enact that, you have to, I'm assuming, make that an enabled service. Can you still respond back with personalized messages? Or do they get the automatic response and then
you can kind of set the threshold, but a lot of times the way that we will phrase the automated response is like, thanks for reaching out. We're getting all the information we need and we'll be back to you within 2 hours, or whatever expectations you want to set. And you can set different ones for weekends as well. But highly recommend, especially evenings and weekends, because some people want immediate responses, but if they get that, they're like, okay, I get it now. Like, they don't work overnight. Okay, everybody else good? You following me? Okay. Content ideas. So videos. They're effective, they work, and you can really just use your phone. Don't feel like you have to create these fancy, highly produced videos. I've used a Snapchat to record a video, saved it to my camera roll, and used it on Facebook. It's easy, it's simple, it feels authentic. People love the way that Snapchat videos feel, and you can use it across platforms. And if you have somebody that really doesn't want to be on camera, just use one of those filters, and then they can be a puppy on camera. And for some reason, they are much more likely to do it. Best practices for post length. In general, if you can keep your posts shorter rather than longer, that's a good play. You can break that rule on some of the platforms, Facebook and Instagram specifically, but you better have a compelling story in that paragraph. I've seen it work many of times, and you usually see it on like a sad story, or I need to tell you about something. It has to kind of capture you in the first couple of seconds to really make it stick. I have no hashtags on Facebook. Just, you can use hashtags on Facebook. Like, they theoretically work if you're going to an event. But most people on Facebook don't use hashtags. And so when you do, it makes you feel like you don't get the platform. A lot of people used to do this to Twitter all the time. They would connect their Facebook and their Twitter, so everything that goes on Facebook goes on Twitter. Well, it doesn't work like that. Like, you see this 3-letter ... and then it takes you back to Facebook. It's not the experience you want to have when you're on Twitter. You want to tweet. That's how you consume that media. So just think of the ways the platforms work. Emojis work really well on Facebook. Just a couple of them here and there make a big difference and really can lighten up even a very technical post or business. And then don't forget about giveaways. I mean, they still work for sure on social. The thing with giveaways that you need to think about is, one, you cannot have a share as an entry point. That's against Facebook's terms of use, and you can't actually source that information. You can't have a like, and you can't have a comment, and there's like auto pickers for that, like a Facebook auto picker. It'll pick whoever random person liked that post, like the post. So one way you can get around this is you can say, like this post to enter, and then share with your friends. So the enter is still the liking, and just tell them share with their friends. Most people will do it that way, and it gets your shares up like most people want. But if you say share this post to enter, that's actually not fair because you can't see all of those because of the privacy barriers. And again, it's against their terms of use. So the other thing to think about for contests is make sure you're giving away something your audience likes. Like if you're giving away a snowblower and you're dealing with 23 to 25-year-old females who are in college, like misalignment of gifts. And I see that all the time. Then your Facebook page gets flooded with fans who have no connection to you as a business and you can't sell to them. And so it's just this, and then all the likes drop off. And if you're going to give something away, give like something that your people care about and your target audience cares about. All right, Instagram and LinkedIn. I kind of put these together because there's similarities here. And I know that I want to make sure we keep on time. So a couple of things with Instagram and LinkedIn when it comes to strategy. Consistency is very important as of any of the platforms. But if you really want to dominate Instagram stories right now, consistency is where it's at. You don't have to pay for those. They are free, but you have to be consistent, and then you will probably get some attention and leverage as long as the content's on point. LinkedIn we were just talking, it's having a moment right now. It was this platform that was there. It was kind of resume-ish. And then they've made some tweaks in the last 2 years, and it's the organic content reach right now on LinkedIn is really impressive. So make sure that you're revisiting that platform. And again, don't let the rules cloud your strategy. So don't think it's only business. I can't post anything personal there. You can. Just make sure that it's, not your bikini photos of your vacation. That's not the way that LinkedIn works. But if you post a picture with you and your daughter, you and your kids, I don't think that that's misaligned. I think people still care about that. We still care about our personal lives when we are in the work mindset, which is what LinkedIn is. And then research hashtags. So different hashtags trend on different platforms. The hashtags that trend on Instagram are very different than the hashtags that trend on LinkedIn. So if you're trying to sell bridal dresses, for example, you're going to use different hashtags because people are shopping on Instagram, and maybe on LinkedIn they're looking at quality and they want someone who knows what they're selling and talking about, so they know they're not getting a damaged product.
So on LinkedIn, if it populates a hashtag for you, is that specific to LinkedIn, or is that across all platforms?
Yeah, I
would tell you how much it's searched or whatever.
Yeah, I would use those as much as you can, as long as they make sense to the content, because they're trying to get you into that mix. And LinkedIn also will index in search engines, so it can be really heavy for just a general search terms. Okay, so here's a couple of tactics that you can use for these strategies. So if you don't have Instagram, one of the really great things to use Instagram for is just snooping and research. I was working with a industrial electrical company, right? Most people would be like, there's probably not a lot of that on Instagram, right? Actually, no, there's huge communities of these electricians hanging out on LinkedIn. They're all using the same hashtags. They're sharing humor and what's it like to be an industrial electrician? And so, but you wouldn't know that unless you really started to do hashtag research. You don't have to have a business account to do that. You can just use your own personal account. See what's happening in your industry. What are people saying? What words are they using? What hashtags are they using? And what's working? Because then you just take that and duplicate it for your business. These also work really well for employee engagement, recruitment. Both of these platforms, you're just telling your story. Very similar to Facebook, but again, those hashtags allow you to really get into the mix and into the attention span of others. And then events work really well. Whether it's a trade show that you're showcasing and you're telling people to come and find you. Again, most of those are hashtag driven because the events have their own hashtags. So an opportunity there really to get people's attention. 15 to 20 hashtags, or 5 to 20 hashtags on each post. Just stuff them as much as you can. You can do the 3 dots and go down if you don't want it to cloud up your Instagram account. But the more the better on that kind of a platform, both of these. All right. I know that there's a lot of information. So I want to open it up to questions, or if you have a type of business that you just want to brainstorm some ideas on, I'm more than happy to give you examples of what's worked well in the past for others, or how to kind of overcome some of those barriers.
Anyone have questions or ideas? You had event responses on Facebook. What is that?
Yes. So the Facebook events are like having a moment. So the three things that Facebook put out from the latest conference that they had. One was groups. So if you're not using Facebook groups, it's a whole new world for Facebook groups right now. Another is the marketplace. Again, we didn't even touch on that, but Facebook Marketplace is where they're seeing a lot of strength from a platform perspective. So if you can think about it from your business perspective, how can I leverage this? I'm selling goods. Should I be putting something out on Facebook Marketplace? Should I be doing ads on Facebook Marketplace? How can I use this and kind of leverage that? And then the events side of things is really important too. And those events responses are part of the ads manager and the ads module. But basically you're optimizing those ads for people who are likely to respond to an event. That's how those ad objectives kind of work. They're going to go run in the race where they feel like they can get the best results. Yeah.
How long after an event should you still post inside of that event page to keep people updated?
Can you give me an example of what type of event you may have?
I don't know, like let's say that you like hosted like a networking event or something and you wanted to like give people content of what happened. Like how long after the event is over can you still like reach those people that either wanted to come or did attend?
So what I would do maybe, again, depending how monumental the event was, if it was just something small, I would maybe post a couple of follow-ups within the week or so, but then maybe ask those people to join a group that then, because then it will self-select as well. Like people who really care about it will go to the group, and then your next event you can let them know about within the group. That way it doesn't get too muddy specifically on that event. Other types of businesses you guys want ideas on? I haven't had anybody introduce themselves. What kind of businesses do we have in the mix? I can't read your name tag.
So I run a gathering, which is an event center
Okay.
at the bowling alley complex.
Oh,
It's a new building.
Awesome.
And so I don't do the actual postings, but the guy that does, like we'll make a post from like whatever, book your Christmas party, and then he'll just run that same exact post over and over
Yeah.
and over and over. So it's kind of,
And
not maybe.
yeah. And I work with Children's Squares nonprofit.
Okay. Awesome. So one of the things when you get to that point, and I see this a lot, we help a lot of businesses try to figure out their social media departments and their interns. And when you get stuck, right, you're like, oof, I just feel like it's not a direct reflection of us. I think that's really where business owners or leaders or managers get frustrated, is like, that's not who we are. Like, we're not just that ad, right? We want to tell people all of the things why they should come to this event center and why their Christmas party needs to be here. Like, give me a sample of the menu. Like, let me know what it could look like decorated. Even you could take a picture of the space, and I've seen people do this, just mock it up on Instagram stories, like color. Like, here is where we put this, here is where we do this. You could have a tree here. And just make this, it's almost like a children's type picture because it's scribbling with your hands or with stickers within Instagram stories. Download it from Instagram stories, and then you could use that for content. And those kind of things are fun because you can just show people what it could be and what the space, is potential to do. Also, one of those really great opportunities to ask, like, how early is too early for Christmas? Like, can we start decorating now? Let them say before Thanksgiving, after Thanksgiving. Those like passion points. People, I'm so passionate about when I'm going to get my Christmas tree up. It's another one you could ask people about. For children's and nonprofit, I've worked with nonprofits in the past that maybe they don't have photo releases for all the kids, or there's picture issues. If you have any of your businesses have just what we call picture issues, right? So it's really difficult to storytell when you can't show the pictures of the people in the stories. There's ways you can fake it. There's also ways where you're probably getting newsletter style content, or you've had years of newsletter style content. Those stories are still relevant, especially maybe the picture's old, but you could use a different picture and still tell the story. Some examples of things you could do. So we did some stuff with an abuse kind of situation with kids, and it was like a shelter. You could do pictures of shoes lined up next to the door. You could do a shut door, pictures of drawings the kids have made, put their names in them. You could do like quiet areas or zones that help environmentally help their space and their mental state. It's kind of just creating stock photos in your business that you can use and you have a bank of. So when you're stuck and you don't know what to say, or you can't use that picture anymore, or that employee left, you can kind of just insert those in. And if you do that on a quarterly basis, you should have a pretty good bank of where to find the images, and it's not so disruptive. Other types of businesses. Nobody's going to share? You guys are quiet today. What kind of businesses do you guys have? You guys were in the last session, right, with nonprofits?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm with the Council of Schools Foundation.
Of schools foundations, okay.
I'm with the Potawatomi County Community Foundation.
Okay, awesome. I think that a big opportunity of you guys have is to create, maybe you already do this, but takeovers and ambassadors are so awesome because you let someone else do 70% of the work for you when it comes to like creating the content. And a lot of people can leverage this with their customers, with their volunteers, their employees, but you just basically say, here's the login for the day. This is what I need you to do. I'm going to map out like the plan, and like I just need you to be real. Make sure there's nothing customer facing in the background, but you know, just tell our story and why you like to work here and why you love your job. It seems simple, but sometimes these things make the most impact. So.
I have a question. So I work with an education agency. We do a lot of like professional development, professional learning. Would those opportunities be good to put as a Facebook event? I just know that sometimes it's hard, like people are like, well, we had to cancel the training because not enough people signed up.
Right.
And so if we push those kind of things out through Facebook, should we specifically create an event? We do share like event flyers, but like create actual events.
Yeah, I think that, when you're trying to engage that group of people, first of all, teachers on Facebook are like so bonded together. It is a really great place to reach them. I would do a group, and I would put a group together of like all of your area, like educators that you can get into it. You could do watch parties and do your training via watch party. That's kind of cool. It's a newer feature that's come out. You could push your events through there if you do an event. I love Facebook events because they give people reminders. It just depends on how many you have. If you have like hundreds of them, it might be too much, and if they're not relevant to the same crew. But if you have 4 a year, or a smaller scale, then maybe doing something along those lines would be really powerful and impactful. So yeah. All right, cool. We are right on time. Get you guys out. I know I want to make sure that I respect everybody's time. So I appreciate it. If you have any questions afterwards, feel free to come up. I'm happy to brainstorm, and yeah, have a good rest of your day.